Hi, I'm Patricia Greenberg, and you're listening to It's Okay to Be Old, a show about all things aging well. Well, today we're going to talk about what it really feels like to be an older adult, and are we living life to the fullest at any age? My guest today is Terry Lohrbeer, and she's the host of Kickass Boomers, a podcast that empowers the baby boom generation to keep going, keep moving, and find happiness in every day. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
So, just a little disclosure, Terry interviewed me about It's Okay to Be Old, and I'm having her back because we are so happy to partner and be together in this journey of aging well and living life to the fullest every day. And that's absolutely what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Now, I want to discuss quoting something that you said in your introduction when you interviewed me.
hmm
Old can be new.
Well,
I
that's only
love that.
part of it.
Yeah.
Being old can be new if you know what to do. And that's part
Yeah.
of my opening thing on
Yeah.
my podcast, the guy
Yeah.
who introduced, and my sister coined that phrase.
Okay, it's beautiful.
It
It's
is.
such a fabulous outlook, and which
Yes.
leads me to asking, how did you start out, doing your podcast, Kick-Ass Boomer?
Okay, so I started back when I was 66, almost 67. I was diagnosed with cancer, lymphoma. And so I started walking and listening to podcasts. And I listened to a business podcast. And then the more I listened, I loved it. There would be a new one every day. I can't remember the man's name. Isn't that awful? It'll come to me. But I took some of his courses to learn how to do podcasting
Okay.
before I jumped in. But I would listen to him every day. And I'm like, I can do this. I can so do this. And when I look back, I always wanted to be an inspirational speaker when I was younger, but it just never was able to come together. I had 4 kids. I was raising them, sending them to college. You need a lot of money to start that kind of a business. It never happened, but podcasts are easy. You
Right.
can just jump in and start one. So then I knew I wanted to do a podcast when I got back, and I never stopped working. Even with my lymphoma, I was selling real estate. I was texting people while I was getting chemo. I had to put a wig on my head because guess what? My hair fell out on my birthday.
Oh,
On my birthday, it started falling out in big chunks. But we got over that. It was not a big deal. Lymphoma is very curable. And then I decided I was going to do whatever else I could. So I wasn't big at exercising. That's when I started walking. I started eating salads every day. I used to hate salads. Now I love them. I said, I've got to change things. Something gave me that. I got to change what I'm doing, shake it up. So that's what I did. I use so many different things. And it's funny because I have 2 siblings that both had cancer and they both passed away because all they did was the chemo. They
okay.
didn't do anything else. You really, when you have cancer, you must exercise. It's key to getting better.
Right.
And when I was diagnosed, I really never took it on as my mantle. I kept thinking, well, it's here, but it's not me. It's not me. I'm going to get better. I'm going to move on. It's not me. So I just, kept moving ahead. Mindset is key. You have to have a positive mindset. And I did from day one. So I was listening to him and I thought, well, I can do this. So I started my podcast in 1970, continued doing the real estate. And I knew that once I quit real estate, I wanted to jump in and do my podcast even more, just do it a lot more. So that's what I've been doing. And, of course, COVID hit right after I started. So that worked out well. I could do my podcast and interview people on Zoom. And I interview people all over the world, really interesting people. Thailand, Germany. I interviewed a guy in Russia. I interviewed 2 people from Australia. And it's so exhilarating to be able to do that and interview people all over the world. And I'm getting a bigger and bigger audience in other countries too. So that's really exciting.
That's
Um,
really fabulous. Yeah.
but I just decided I wanted to do it. And I knew that I needed something when I retired from real estate. And I did not want to be that 80-year-old realtor. There are some
Yeah.
who tell you, going up, look at the upstairs, I'll be down. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to quit while I was young and vibrant enough and do something else. So that's what I decided. Now, I'll be 75 in July, and I don't feel any more than like 55.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm lucky I don't have any joint pains. I did have cancer and a hip replacement. So it's not like there's nothing, but I don't have any aches and pains. I don't have any other joint issues. My hip that I got replaced, it's like my own. I forget it's not
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
I just that I normally do. I get stiff when I'm sitting too long, but that's about it. So I intend to live a long and vibrant life. I do want to get more weightlifting when I move to Florida because I think it's very important to build those muscles because the muscles are the things that help you stand up and sit down and move. And if you're not keeping your muscle mass, you're deteriorating. And then you need a
Absolutely.
cane to get up out of the chair. And I don't want that. So I really do want to keep my muscles strong, and I do walk every day as it is now.
That's fantastic. Terry, you're the quintessential boomer. Your age, your attitude
Yep.
on life that I think I personally, when I do my work, I don't like using anti-aging or fighting aging or combating
No.
aging. I like to say that we're pro-aging,
Yep.
that we are just going to be vital and do what we do at the age we are for however long we can. That's really the idea, and that's exactly what you're doing. And we all
Yep.
know the media is still biased towards youth. It's getting better,
Mm,
but especially when it comes to wellness, it leaves the older adult out of the equation in the sense that I'm the first one to tell you I weight train 3 days a week. I run, I eat very, very well.
mhm.
But there are changes that happen. As you know, each decade is a little different. You're
It
different
is.
60 and 70 and 80 and 90. The needs are not all the same. You
No.
and I both talk about this, that there isn't this blanket over 50. There's
No.
there's changes within each decade. So, how do you choose the topics and who you choose to have on your show? What do you base the what do
Well,
you
in the beginning, I didn't know anyone, so I interviewed anyone who would
anybody?
be
Yep.
willing to come on the show, which was great. And it's funny because my brother, who just passed away, he was always a musician, but once he retired from his regular job, he was able to jump in and do his music even more. So he was number 8 of my interviews. So I'm going to be reposting that on June 15th because as his memorial,
Okay.
repost the show that we did. And we did a great show, and he's talking about his music. He was very enthusiastic. So I try and pick a variety of people. So I want some coaches, I want some authors, I want some documentary filmmakers. I like some males, some females. So I really try and mix it up. I had a woman who has she's really talking a lot about dementia because her husband was diagnosed at 55 and she has her own radio show. So I had her on. So I look for a variety of people doing different stuff so that because not everyone's going to relate to everything.
That's
Like, not everyone likes to talk like I do. I've always been a big talker. So, but some people like to write, other people like to do other things. So I try and vary it so it appeals to everybody.
But again, I'm with you. I'm your sister in arms in this. I just get
Yep,
everybody to understand there's a million ways to age. And it's
absolutely.
all wonderful. Whatever
Yep,
you're choosing to do, whatever the path is, it's your beautiful, perfect path for you. You know,
absolutely.
Terry, I want to ask you at 70, almost 75, and
Yep,
you're almost there. It's amazing. The advances in our society were so profound from the late 40s all the way to 2000, the shifts in everything from technology to advancements in medicine and in art and literature and music, that so much became available to us. I always ask, but the generation of those of you who were teens in the 60s, well, that had the most effect on our society. That just seems to be that hot spot, particularly like 1968, the world was on fire, right?
yep, absolutely.
Changes in that decade as a young person had the most effect on you? What was the
Well, that was the decade where we lost John F. Kennedy. I really remember that. I was sitting in maybe my 7th or 8th grade class, and he came on the TV, and we were all in tears, and it was horrific. And then we watched the funeral, and the whole ordeal was horrible. Then a pope died. I don't remember who. I think it was after that. A
right?
pope died. So I was raised Catholic. So then we went through the whole pope thing and getting a new pope. And then whoever the new pope was, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the names, he died after a month and they had to redo the whole thing again. And we just went through it with the white smoke and everything. So we would be sitting in the classroom watching that because it was a Catholic school. And then Martin Luther was murdered and assassinated. It was just all of that and then the Vietnam War. It was a very tumultuous time, and it was hard because there was just so much trauma going on. I mean, I was growing up and I was teen and I was having fun, but there still was that trauma in the background. So it did make it a little bit hard.
And do you feel, looking back, that the effect it has on you today, do you feel that the forward advances we made in that decade are showing the fruits of that now, or do you think we've gone backwards? I'm curious to.
You know, I got married in 71. So I graduated from high school in 68.
Okay.
71, I got married and I started having kids. So everything just moved so fast back then because I had 4 children in 5.5 years and I was still working part time. So it was boom, 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 boom. So everything was kind of a blur. You just went day to day. You got done what you had to get done and you moved on. So it wasn't until I got older and then we started having cell phones. I actually sold cell phones for a
Oh, did
while.
you? Uh-huh.
I sold them when they were big boxes
Yeah,
and
yeah.
construction people needed them and lawyers needed them and that kind of stuff. But then it wasn't until the iPhone came about. Now you're seeing so many changes, so many changes. And I jumped on that bandwagon. I got my iPhone and I embraced technology, but now my husband doesn't. And he's falling behind because he
Yeah,
didn't embrace
yeah.
it. I embraced it. I'm on the computer. I'm learning anything new that comes out. I want to know about it. Chat GPT. I mean, almost anything I want to learn. I think when you're curious and you keep learning, it keeps you young. It really does.
Absolutely. So that's the interesting thing now, that there are a lot of people that are being left behind
Hmm.
because they haven't embraced it. But there's something to be said for the old school sitting and reading a book, a hardcover book. My house is filled with books because I love to read.
I still like to do that.
Yeah,
I do. I don't want to
yeah,
read on my phone.
right.
That's one thing I haven't embraced.
Mhm.
Now, some of my sisters have. They like to read on their phone or their iPad. I like the book. I want to hold that book in my hand.
Right,
So I'm
right.
still old school in many ways, whereas my younger sisters who are like 8 years younger, they're a little bit different. They do embrace that, reading on their iPad. That's not me. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't either. And I like doing crossword puzzles in the newspaper. We still get 2 newspapers a day. And
Now I don't
the news.
because I was very bad. I would want to read every article, and if I didn't finish it, I couldn't throw it out. So
Yes,
they were piled everywhere. And I
yes.
finally said, you know what? They got to go. I
Yeah.
can't control myself. I just no more newspapers
It's funny you say
because
that, but we like it because I like to force myself to still read,
it is good.
paper things. And it's, I also want to ask you, Terry, just from a standpoint of, the other changes in the world in wellness.
Mhm.
It's something that, alluding back to where, the medical profession is, they with all the advancements we have, and people are still treated differently older, and I mean emotionally different. That
Right.
a younger person, that even the triage in a hospital is quicker to help a younger person, and revive them, than an older person. And I want to hear your take from the time, really, if you want to go that far back to your teens, of what the wellness model was then compared to now.
Well, I can remember when I was a child, we could go to the doctors and the doctor would see you and talk to you and touch you and you'd have to put your tongue out and he would look in
Yes.
your eye. They don't do that anymore. And then it kind of progressed. And the one thing I want to say is I don't embrace pharmaceuticals. I try not to take them. If there's an alternative, a natural source, I do that.
Mhm.
And as a result of that, I'm not on any pharmaceuticals at 75, whereas my husband has 5 or 6, and then he has all these side effects and this and that. And it's like I made up my mind, and I do have osteoporosis, and they wanted to put me on Fosamax, I think it was. So I took some pills for a week. I had diarrhea an entire month. I said, "Up, I was right. I'm not taking any of it.
Yeah.
I'm done." I look for natural ways. And if you weight lift, you're going to build your bones. Do that rather than take. I don't. So no matter what they suggest, unless it's an antibiotic, I've needed them over the
Right.
years because
Right.
I've had bad infections. But other than that, I don't take anything. It's just, everything. I'll look for the natural instead, and they're there. And if you eat better, you'll be okay. We don't eat processed food. My husband cooks. He loves to cook. He makes everything fresh, fresh vegetables. We,
Yeah.
once in a while we'll have a can of corn or something, but for the most part, it's fresh vegetables, fresh fruit. So I'm eating better than most. I think that helps. And I'm exercising because a lot of people think that, they're tired. I'm just going to sit on the chair. I'm always tired. I've been tired since my 30s because after a bout with the flu, I just really never recovered. I think I had Epstein-Barr. I've been tired my entire life. So I just know that I have to push through it and just keep moving. And that's what I do. I don't allow myself. Now, as I got older, the one nice thing, if I need a nap in the afternoon, I take my nap. I'm
Oh
okay.
my God, you deserve it. I tell everybody that you need to step back, you need to go to sleep, you need to say,
Yep.
hey, I'm checking out for a little while. You
Yep.
do that. Absolutely.
And then I'm
Yeah.
good because I can do
Yeah.
more work at night. I can be
Uh,
on the
uh,
computer or doing stuff at night. So the nice thing that you're not reporting to anyone, when I want to take a nap, I'll just take a
yeah.
nap.
Yep.
Yep. But I do fight through the fatigue because it's been with me my whole life. So
And
it's
that's
nothing.
exactly what I'm asking you is like, when you were younger, you were told what were the guidelines, what to do, and it was like push, 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 push. Now
Right.
we know you can allow yourself that little bit of rest.
Yes.
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 Hmm.
Now, I'll tell you, when I was having my kids, the doctors would never believe me. Like, I would say, I think I'm so and so many weeks. They go, no, 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 you're not, honey, you're not. And then when I had my last one, my third child was 4 weeks overdue. So I went to the hospital and I was induced on Halloween. I
Mm.
don't think she wanted to be born on Halloween. It didn't work. They sent me back home. 2 weeks later, I'm going in to be induced again. And the young nurses that are there, they go, you look so familiar. I go, yeah, I was here 2 weeks ago and you sent me back home. But then I did have her then. So that was good. But my fourth child, I was 5 weeks overdue. And I was a different doctor. And he kept saying, yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. I knew I was correct because you felt life. I knew from the time I
Yes.
felt life
Yes.
was I had to be way overdue. And he just
Yeah.
wouldn't listen. Finally, I went into labor. And when she was born, she was 10 pounds and her head was so big. She came out, and I think my water had dried up. So her cheeks scraped coming out because she was so big. And she had big scars on scabs on her cheeks for like 3 weeks afterwards because he saw her and he went, I mean, he was shocked. He knew I was right and he was wrong. But too late. You should have
Yeah.
induced me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so even back then, doctors weren't really listening to women.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you know? I'm the doctor.
Right. But now, now we have the freedom for our own advocacy.
Yes,
We keep talking about this, but now we can say, you can put your
yes,
foot down and you can say, no, this is not working, or this is
right.
incorrect, and you can fix that. So,
And I have to tell you, my husband actually had breast cancer.
oh, really?
So, and his mother had it twice, both breasts were removed. And so she always said to him, just because you're a man doesn't mean you don't have to check your breasts. So he
Right.
would check all the time. So he found like a little tiny hard P-shaped thing. So he went to the family doctor, and the family doctor goes, it's probably a cyst. We're just going to watch it. And he looked at him and said, I want a biopsy now. And so the doctor goes, well, if you insist. So he got his biopsy. It was a very aggressive cancer. So he just had him whole mastectomy. He said, just take it off. I don't want to worry about it. And he's been fine for like 10 years now.
Okay.
But had he listened to, and women will listen to these doctors and
Yes.
say, okay, we'll watch it. No, get a second opinion.
Right.
Don't
Right.
ever, when it's that, anything like you think is cancer, you just get a second opinion
Right.
automatically.
Right. Right.
So because he insisted, he got it, and then he got rid of that family doctor, but he's fine today.
Great. Wonderful news
But
to
you have to advocate for
Yes.
yourself. You
Yes.
have to.
Absolutely. Terry, what do you like about getting older?
I like the freedom that I can just do what I want. I don't care what anybody thinks, and I didn't care a lot when I was younger, but a little bit. But now it's like, who cares? I'm
Yeah.
moving to the villages to have fun.
Yeah.
The villages
Yeah.
is the 55 plus community where there's dancing and music every night. There's exercise classes every day. There's swimming, there's golf. I'm just going to be very, very active and start having a good time because basically I've been selling real estate up until I really haven't done done a lot this year, but up until January, I was doing real estate all of last year. So I was working from 65 almost to 75. So now it's time to have fun. I'll still do my podcast because I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
you need a reason to get up and be
Yes.
focused, but
Yes.
I'm going to have a lot more fun when I get down there.
Yep. You're going to have your purpose, which is to continue to be an
Yes.
inspiration for both men and women, not just
Yes.
over 50 or over 60, but over 70.
Yeah. And hopefully
Seven-
over 80 when I hit that.
Hopefully over 80.
Yep.
I think it's amazing. I'm a huge advocate of going into these communities of older people
Yes.
that you have. Also, I always say your peers are your best advisors. We do need intergenerational relationships, and we do need to be around our kids and our grandkids and
We
young
absolutely
people
do.
for a variety of reasons, but
Yep.
be around those people that are your age and have the same exact life experience as you. It's very
Yep.
comforting that I can say to somebody, hey, I want to talk to you about this. And they know what I'm talking about. You don't have to
Right.
explain it, and you don't have to say, hey, before you were born, or, it's an automatic
Right.
conversation. And I think it's absolutely amazing. And I'll come
Right.
visit you because I want to get down to the
Good. Oh,
see
it's
all
such a
of it.
fun place.
That's
And
what,
I'm also going to make younger friends as well, because, what happens if you only make friends in your age group, as
yes,
your age group dies off, like in the 80s and 90s, then you're not going to have any friends anymore.
right,
And that happened to my aunt. She was 93, and slowly her friends had either gone into homes or died. And there she was by herself. She didn't have friends anymore. And at 90, it's hard to make friends. So she did deteriorate and go downhill very quickly. And
right.
I think that was the main thing. So it's important to have friends of all ages, but you definitely want peers of your own age. And, friends and being social are very important to
Yes.
keeping yourself. We're social beings. We need to be with people and talk to people and hold their hand and, all of that. So and when I'm at the villages, they're all right there. So it's going to be fun.
Yes, yes. No, I mean you're the poster child for that, because I keep telling everybody, whether you're alone or still married or whatever it is, find a community of, like
Yes.
what you said about having friends in different generations, but also finding a community of people that like-minded with a lot of activities that keep you going, give you reason to get up in the morning and go out.
Yes.
And you're going to have a treasure trove of people to interview for the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
That
And
is
one
so
other thing I want to add, I
sure.
joined a spiritual group in my 30s. And I'll tell you, that really made a difference in my mindset, because when I first joined them, and we used to meet once a week and we would meditate and then we would read a book and we'd talk about the book. So I was a victim. I had the victim mentality at 30.
Right.
Poor me, poor Terry. Life is tough, blah, blah, blah. And then that slowly, with being spiritual, I learned everybody has stuff. You're not a victim. Go out. Everybody has something. We all think, oh, they have a wonderful life, or look at their kid. Everybody has the same things we do. So get over it. Get over that victim mentality. Now I just want to be happy and have fun, and, and give back to other people. That's all. I just want to, and help people with their mindset. It's
That is
so
so
important.
beautiful, Terry. Thank you so much for that, because this is what I talk about too. Those key ingredients is the food, the fitness. We all know proper sleep,
Yep.
healthy relationships important, but those two components of community and spirituality are
Yep.
round out our wellness. And
Yes.
it's not about being a holy roller, and it doesn't matter
Nope.
what you believe in. What is it? It's just having a connection to the outside world, to the universe, to, however you want to define it, uh,
Yes.
being part of it. And that really ties into the having purpose and
It
get,
does. Yes. Yes.
I want to use this word, Terry, that I talk about a lot and share with you that, I know you talk about this too, is that accountability to another person. That doesn't mean you have to answer to somebody or you're beholden to somebody. It's a wonderful thing to be accountable to another,
Yes.
right?
Right. Right. So I'll tell you, my husband's 80 now. He makes all my meals. So
Okay.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he just brings it to me. I eat. But
Okay.
now he's getting older. I have to help him put his socks on. He can't get them on himself anymore.
Okay.
Um, So there's certain things that I now have to help him with. So I have to be accountable to him. He has to be, we help one another. This is what life is all about. You help people that need help. And he's been, my partner all these years. We've done a lot of things together, but now I have to help him put his socks on. It doesn't bother me. I just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And there's a give and take in any relationship. And it's
absolutely.
something that, as mundane as helping somebody, whether it's get dressed or have a
Right.
meal or, the small things, it makes all the difference in the world to them. And it makes
Yep.
all the difference in the world to you to be out there and have purpose. Terry, thank you for that, because that's a really, really important thing is
Yeah.
that you might
Things
have.
happen as you age. That,
Exactly. You
yes.
might be having resentment about what you're dealt with when you
Right.
turn it around and say it's a wonderful thing that, I'm giving back in this way, and that's where I'm at today.
And I have to say, I'm blessed to have him because my younger sister lost her husband at 59.
Yeah,
And she's just still distraught and grieving.
right.
So my husband's here. If I have to put on his socks,
Yeah,
so be it. No
yes.
big deal. So, we have to be thankful for what we have. And
Absolutely.
I'll say another thing. I've no grandchildren, so God has not blessed me with grandchildren, but my sister who lost her husband does. So, you know what? God
Yeah,
gives us different things
yes.
to deal with. It's like
Abs-
I really, really wanted grandchildren. I loved having my kids, and I thought I would be a grandmother, and I'm not, but I'm not resentful. My podcast is now my grandchild.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. There you go. There you go.
It's all about mindset. Keep that mindset positive and you'll stay healthier.
Absolutely. Thank you, Terry. Terry, thank you so much for joining me here at Age Well and Live Well and It's Okay to Be Old and all the things we talk about. And
Yep.
for more information about your podcast, where do we go to?
Kickassboomers.com.
Kickassboomers.com, one word. Look
Yep,
at
one
Terry
word.
Lohrbeer at that. And it's a
And I'm on Apple and Spotify and all of those. So
all
you
the
can just
usual
yeah,
suspects.
you can put Kick-Ass Boomers in there too. But
Fabulous, fabulous. And I want to thank all of you for listening to It's Okay to Be Old. And please subscribe to my channel, Patricia Greenberg, and It's Okay to Be Old for our engaging discussions on all things aging well. Look for us also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Insta as well. And for feedback and topic requests, you can contact me at www.itsokaytobeold.com. Terry, thank you again so much. And I look forward to continuing this chat.
thank you. We'll have to stay in touch. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Take
Thank
care.
you.